is opening the reading for 2023. Let's start. Taurus, lovely Taurus. What's going on here? You already have like the special luck Safi, and you got two jumpers, and both jumpers are masters. So this is really, really interesting. We have and master, really interesting how they're actually calling the devil a master over here. But we also have detach over here. I don't know like if you're going to see it if I put it here. I hope you will. And then let's see from this deck, and you already got it. Like it just, I wanted to look at this. You actually got the same card. And that's what I was telling you about. It is repetition, except it really isn't, because this one is reversed. You also had two masters. This is a patience, but you also have some minor, like which is material harvest and positive movement and moving on. So Mr. Taurus and Mrs. Tauruses, you're kind of like stuck on something from what I already see over here. I think I need to lift it up a little bit to get maybe a little bit better angle, and let's hope if this is going to work. My apologies if I'm not having this straight anymore. And I want to grab this one here, and this one wants to come out, and it says express your love, go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So this is giving us some insight already, but I want to get one more card over here, and it did jump here. Spring, oh, two lotus flower. Actually, I will tell you something. I have this deck now for 5 years. This card never ever came out, so it is what it is. So there is something going on around your birthday. It's going to be something that really it's going to be a groundbreaking thing. You guys are maybe you felt shackled in 2022. Maybe you felt that things really didn't go your way, and hence that you really needed to kind of like either look for the outside help, which we do see it in this I'm going to separate them in this detached card, or maybe you also felt that you wanted to move on but you couldn't move on, and hence the things were a little bit let's say kooky. Let's call them kooky for a moment. Look at the comparison between those two cards. Basically both of them are the devil card, right? If you really look at it here, he's trapping the heart. He thinks that he can buy love. Well, hello, which side would think about purchase but Taurus, right? And he's actually really happy. He's really happy with where he is, not really realizing this is not the real thing. It's almost like a Stockholm syndrome of some sort that is really coming to me. So if you are dating Taurus, you might want to consider that, you know, you represent to this person something that this person wants to achieve through you, that this person is using you for sex, even though to them they're not seeing it as using, they're just seeing as just regular kind of like normal thing. But look at here, like this is like there is the light behind that he's also kind of like hiding in this part of this kind of stage. But over here we do see, I don't know if you can see the key, and the heart is actually a part of this key, and somebody is trying to put him back into that hell. If you can see, it almost looks to me it is a window, but it is also a key that provides light. So he wants to go toward the light, but he is being distracted. It's kind of like, hey, squirrel situation that we are having over here, right? So this came reversed. So this is the full spectrum. It's like literally everything that is going on. And so, but I don't really think this is just simply starting in 2023. I feel this kind of like came from this year, and this is kind of like a gate opening for you. Remember, these two cards were the very first one that dropped down. And you have four major arcanas, which are absolutely enormous, kind of like that basically somebody gets in a reading, right? So what else I would just elaborate on this one, that you have patience reverse, so you're lacking the patience, and that is very unusual, because if there is a sign that has huge patience, that would be yours. And so if you guys lose patience, means that you have been waiting a long time, or that you're like reading something as somebody's wronging you. But be very careful, because something has happened and you did it, that has brought you to the situation. And also there is like a karmic situation here for you. You guys have this detached. You need to get out of the situation. That, look, if you can look behind, it's the winter, it's the cold. I heard Buffalo is going to have 4 feet of snow today. Shocking, right? But look at that, like it's asking you to kind of like step out. There is like the spiritual freedom, and this being upright means that you're resolving some karmic issues over here. You're dealing with something that, oops, and my, okay, if you're hearing the sound, that's the sign of my bracelet falling apart in millions of pieces. And I'm not going to be picking it up now, but I just hope the cats are not going to find this palatable. So, but I really think, when you know me so far, that when I read everything that happens. So if this happened, that means something is totally falling apart, which is really strange, because you have this lotus flower, which to me, lotus always kind of like opens up, right? It's kind of like rising to the surface, right? And it's going from the mud down like kind of in the like river, kind of like bed, right? It's almost like connecting to this. I want to see this light. I want to see how it really goes. And then it starts opening. It's resting on a leaf on the surface, opens, and then every night it kind of like closes down, right? So, and it sinks a little bit under the water, right? So what can we learn from this amazing flower, right? It is basically almost like a simulation of our spiritual path, right? It kind of like unfolds and opens to the light, and at times kind of like gently folds. Like most of us can probably relate that we had that kind of like things that we sometimes are in the dark and we need to rest. We cannot always kind of like push it. Sometimes is just like, I mean, really not a good circumstance, and so on and so forth. But there is like something spiritually unfolding for you, whether you're aware of it or not. It's really inevitable for you, like, I mean, not to kind of like go down this path, but you need to put your trust in. Like, the only person who can be in the way, it is you. You have like these devil kind of like situation over here, and devil is sidetracking you, like, and almost like looks like this guy's looking in his direction, and there's like something negative, because this is positive movement. And generally I don't read these cards always as inversion, but in this case I do, because you feel that was something with money and something negative that has happened, and this is leading you to this 2023. You do want to reverse it, but there is like something on a spiritual level that you really need to deal with, right? So keep in mind that lotus represents our soul. So you cannot go down and back in pentacles into something pragmatic that you want to do as you want to do all the time. You really need to think that, why am I here? Why am I living here? What am I doing here? You do not need to strive or to be kind of like driven now also by spiritual ambition. So that is the other side of the spectrum, right? So, you know, kind of like just grow. Don't force anything upon yourself. Don't kind of like think this is my homework. It is just going to happen, right? Just keep in mind that each time that you encounter darkness, that something is happening, that this is a lesson, right? So your steady faith, if you wish, and love will guide you on your journey. You also have a spring equinox. It's a rebirth. So let's talk about it. If you have an older Taurus in your family, this could mean they're passing. And you know that I rarely say that, but this cannot but to give me to inevitable conclusion. I'm just looking at the cards, right? It's almost like this is pulling out and this is going toward the light, right? Like look at how they're like really grouping just visually. And but it's calling it rebirth. So this person is kind of like working on their spiritual thing and really kind of like transferring themselves in a different spiritual dimension. And this is actually a really, really positive development over here. Also, spring equinox, for those of you who are not of the advanced age, is actually having a completely different meaning. As I said, something really not just instrumental, but it's not even groundbreaking, even though you're going to look back and you're going to realize that it was groundbreaking, right? So Jenny, it was not a cheap cheap bracelet actually. And if you are listening to this later, this was my chat, so please join us every Saturday to our chat. So this is really a card that I absolutely love, you know. This is kind of like rendition of Ostara, which is Germanic goddess of spring, right? She's also Northern European name for Astarte, which means womb. So, right, like I mean, if you think about the Empress card, and the Empress is always basically Venus guided, so does represent Taurus. It's almost like the same thing. That is really talking about you feeling at home in your little cocoon, and you know, it is some kind of like passage, something that maybe you thought something is never going to end. It's not even a rocky road, because Taurus has the way of balancing things all the time, right? Because that's why they are sharing that Empress card with Libra, and that's kind of like where it happens. But you know what? This is kind of like happening that Earth is rejoicing when we get to spring equinox. We are getting, you know, next month into the winter equinox, so that's what's going to happen, right? So what happens at that stage? Many things are emerging. They're like different shapes, they're like different colors, and this is kind of like reminding us of this continual cycle. So for you who are not advanced age, this simply could mean another circle over here on this planet in this existence, right? But rest assured, if somebody passes over in your family, that this person has spiritually reached what they need to reach. And even though I know we miss people, animals when they pass over, here, like I mean, we are getting like a hidden message that this is kind of like not goodbye, but this is like I will see you again. Somebody just lost patience with the ways of life that we have here, and it's like, you know what, I was like really, really good on the other side, off I go, kind of a thing, right? But for the others who are actually going in the next phase, this is birth, and birth sometimes can be painful, particularly when, you know, like it's just before delivery. It's the darkest before the dawn, kind of a thing, right? Yet you need to keep in mind that what emerges is really fresh and beautiful. So, you know, it is something about grace. It is something that you are shedding this kind of like old ways and how things have been dealt with, and you're kind of like going into completely new direction. So guys, just make sure you have no regrets, and I really think this is why this card is really showing up. Express your love, right? Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So this to me means that, like, especially you have I think you have somebody who is actually you have all signs. You do have fire signs and somebody who has very strong fire. So guys, don't make an error that you ask the person the sign and they say, well, I'm a Leo, right? That you, or let's say like Libra. Well, don't think that this person is not a fire sign, because it depending on what percentage of their chart is in fire, they can very well act as fire. You know, like I mean, I had clients who basically are one sign, but they have Scorpio ascendants. never mind your like sign, like you are Scorpio, because Scorpio is so powerful, right? So my dear Taurus, you have something that is some form of a closure for you in 2023. It's not going to be small stuff, and don't sweat the small stuff. And I know you want your Taurus after all. In your case, they're going to be big things, and these big things will need to happen. Something will need to go in a certain direction, and how things are delivered. So my dear Taurus, leave the petty things behind, because you have them here. Something bigger is waiting for you. Something is being revealed. This is a karma card, and something karmic is happening for you. That is going to be between your birthdays. So you're talking late April, but it can last all the way to end of October, right? So that 6 months is going to be the central kind of like centerpiece of your year. My dear Taurus, just to finish, you can have your own personal one, which is going to go in way more details. And I want to thank you all for your patronage this year, and I hope to see you in the next year. Every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do have live, which in my opinion is very lovely, because the people are absolutely amazing that come there. And as we are closing this 2022, please let me indulge you for just yet another minute. I want to thank you for being here. If you're old, if you're new, it doesn't matter. It has been, wow, 5 years already. So thank you so much for being here with me and listening to my forecasts. Coming in the future, I might have a little bit different format, because I have been feeling this transformation coming on to me. I have been seeking for something new, but it just felt like that I was meant to be a little bit suppressed for a reason that was not really clear to me. I thought must be aging or something, but now I'm actually starting to see the reasons, and I'm going to discuss it in the future. Just one more time, guys, I wish that you join us on live, which I have on Saturdays. It's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so both Europeans and the West Coast can join. And you know what? We also have Australia, we have India. It's freaking bloody awesome. And lastly, you know the spiel. If you want to get notifications from me, please subscribe and click on that bell thing. If you want a reading with me, contact me directly via my website, cattarot.ca, or contact me via my email. I personally respond, mysticcattarot@gmail.com. Love you, and I wish you a wonderful new year.